Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We've got a great panel as always. I'm Harvey Free, and to the right of me, Harry Glanz.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Harvey. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Becky.
Good morning.
There's Becky Ellie over there, top 1% of all originators. Good morning, Beck.
Good morning, everyone, and I'm happy to see Mr. Harry back in the studio with us. It's been a minute.
It's been a little while. Had to get back in. Was out of town. Had a little COVID last couple of weeks.
Boo,
and
COVID.
everything. Yeah, but I'm back. The voice is better. I don't.
Yeah, you
COVID
sound good.
knocked
Sound
it
good.
better. So
Yeah, you
it's
sound good.
I
Coming
appreciate
back.
it. Yeah, it's coming back. There
Strong
we go.
voice.
Thanks for having me.
Great, Harry. Of course, we bring in Nick Calte, Remerica. Good morning, Nick. Good to see you.
Good morning. It's like my second home here.
It is, man.
Yeah,
You're
man, you've been you're like the hot seat all the time right now.
calling frequent flyer miles or something, Nick. Hey, Nick, we don't do a ton of business, but we're starting to do more and more business and great stuff. Did we not get that one clear to close in 8 business days? Maybe 8 total days.
It's like you guys know what you're doing or something.
I think
don't know.
we do. Anyways, happy buyers. I know we got a closing next week. We're going to talk all morning long about buying and selling, a little bit of old school stuff here. Of course, we bring in Harry to tighten up things. Harry, our corporation, we've closed over $29 billion so far this year. Those buyers are really excited about their home purchase. They have the confidence. Some of them overbid. Becky, hey, in today's marketplace, you're overbidding. You might have overbid 20, 30,000 last year on a house, maybe even in the last 6 months. But today's market, it's constantly shifting. You got to be educated.
It's certainly a different market than it was last year and in 2020. Totally different market, people. And when people come up to me and they say, you know what, my house has been on the market, Becky, Nick, and Harvey, it's been on the market a week, and I only have 1 or 2 offers.
Yes.
I mean, they're panicking. I mean, it's unbelievable that what people were used to and what they relied upon in the last 2 years to think that was normal. That was not normal. We're in more of a normal market now. When I say that, houses are coming on the market. They're staying on the market a little longer. There are still a lot of buyers out there. The buyers are being more judicious, and they're not really rushing into anything like they were in the last 2 years.
No, the thing is, I feel like people are very quick to forget what it's been. I mean, even the last 2 years, the last couple of years has been unlike anything we've ever seen. And it's still changing absolutely daily. It's totally different than it was 6 months ago. And it's totally different than it was even 30 days ago in this market because we're in this reactionary market. Someone says something and people are reacting to it and it's constantly changing. But the difference right now, what you're talking about is the buyers out there, they've written an offer or two. And the ones that have stuck to it, they are starting to get a little bit, they're digging their heels in and they're demanding that some of their boxes be checked as well as the sellers. So that way, everyone's kind of coming to an agreement. You are still seeing some of these over asking prices, but they're not as on a regular basis. The home buyers, I feel like especially first time home buyers, I feel like they have a little bit more of a shot right now than they have in a long time.
So to set the record straight in the way the market is, Nick, and you can comment on this, and the market is strong right now. It's certainly still a little bit of a seller's market. There are houses on the market. There are a lot of buyers out there. Buyers are actively looking and buying. A lot of purchase agreements out there. The difference is right now you're not seeing that irrational exuberance of people paying a substantial amount over. Now, we're not saying that they're not paying over market. In certain areas they are. But in certain areas, that has subsided. So that's the market's strong. Don't get me wrong. It's still strong. It's not as crazy as it was.
Right, yeah, and it's actually back to, that's kind of fair for both sides, too, and I'm excited for a lot of the buyers I have because it's finally a normal market where they can, it's not hyper-competitive and they can start winning these offers, too. Like, we can start getting offers accepted for buyers, and prices are dropping a little bit as rates went up, as we saw, so we lost a lot of buyers in the market, but like we were saying before, the buyers that remain are very well informed. And again, I'm just super excited to get a lot of these buyers' offers accepted and not have the discouragement that last year brought.
So truth be told that, we're not losing buyers because of the rates, okay? The rates are always going to be what they are. We're in a cycle. We've seen this before. And the rate and the payment, 90% of who I'm talking to, especially first-time home buyers, it's not the payment that they're afraid of. It's how much money they have to bring to closing. That's always been one of the biggest issues when people are buying homes. And what was happening is you had buyers, first-time home buyers coming out, oh my gosh, yes, I don't want to rent anymore. I have the job I want, and all I need is $5,000 to get into this house. Well, then they entered the market the last couple of years, and they're like, just kidding. You need $30,000 over asking and $30,000 to bring to the table,
Right, Becky, you got the VA loan out there, zero down, so now you only got the closing costs and the prepaid. Sellers' concessions can kick in. Same with rural development loans, USDA loans, same thing, zero down. Now let's go off to FHA, 3.5% down. That's a little bit of money to come up with on a $200,000 house. You're looking at $7,000. You've got some closing costs and prepaids, $13,000 to $15,000 own house. But Becky, right, they needed the extra 10 or 15 to get the offer accepted to do the appraisal guarantee. Those are sort of gone.
Yeah, to bring it back to center, that's always been the focus in the history of buying a house and mortgage banking, is that people will say, listen, I can afford X amount of payment, but where am I going to get the down payment from? How much do I need to bring? The number one thing in a transaction that we have to verify as mortgage bankers, where are people going to get the down payment from, and how do we verify that? People can make the payment. I mean, they're renting right now for between $750 and $1,500, right? They can make that payment every month because they're making it now. It's where are we getting the money, and how do we verify where those funds? So funds, verification, and where it's coming from. I mean, that is the number one thing in buying a home right now for our side of the transaction.
Let me put that in perspective right now. If you're paying $1,500 rent, you're paying 100% interest.
That's right.
You're paying 100% interest. So if you're paying $1,500, 100% interest if you're renting. Now, if we can get you in a house where your payment is $1,500 in the low, mid, high fives, even low sixes, and it's $1,500, you're only paying that percentage of interest, not 100%. You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your own legacy. You're investing in your family.
$1,500 is directly going to your landlord. When you make a $1,500 mortgage payment, right?
It's your own equity. It's your own asset.
13 is going toward the interest the first month.
For sure.
And then 200 is going. Then every time you make a payment, it turns a little bit in your favor. So that's why we say, and if you want to get into it, we'll get into the minutia of it, is that if you take a shorter term loan, more money goes toward paying it off. And the object of taking out a mortgage is one day paying it off.
Look, you're going to need it. You're going to need a roof over your head. You can start building these strong communities. I always tell families when they're first-time home buyers, you're about to meet your new best friends. Someone in that neighborhood is going to be your new best friend, your kid's new best friends. Nick, building communities is what it's all about. You show me that starter. To me, it's a starter home price. I think anything between $200 and $300.
Right.
That house is dynamite. That's a great home. Nick, just throw that one out there because you got a great listing.
Yeah, listing in Sterling Heights, 1,400 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, basement, acre of land, 2-car detached garage. I mean,
Utica schools.
Yeah, Utica School District. I mean, it's an updated home. It's nice. It is a starter home.
Again, we saw a little bit of a price reduction on it out there.
And that's fair. Yeah,
I want to get into the price reductions real quick.
Right.
So you're seeing those, right? And is a lot of that because the sellers have been so spoiled in a sense where they were driving and dictating the price, and was it from agents allowing that to happen and just kind of say, okay, let's do it? But is it a disservice to allow them to control that, and then you have this price reduction?
Right, because you did see a lot of people that were trying to list their own homes. Anybody can do it. So they priced high, and what we're seeing now is that prices are adjusting a little bit, and you have to go to bat for your seller. So that was one of the questions, one of the concerns that I brought up is I said, hey, you priced a little bit high. I'm running the numbers. I'm looking at the numbers every single morning, and here's where we should be.
Yeah, so
I went to bat for my sellers, and now we're in the right price range, and we're definitely going to sell.
So the attitude always is when people list houses, okay, so what? So I'll list it high. What can it hurt? I'm going to list it high.
Right.
Well, what it hurts is then all of a sudden the house has been on a week, 2, 3, 4, you're getting no action because people go in and there are these algorithms and formula people plug in and say, okay, I want to look at houses 229.9 and under.
Yeah,
well, if
9.9 is
right,
230.
299. If it's listed for higher than that, you're never going to get it.
Yep.
You're not going to get a hit. So you limit yourself by people think they're smart by doing that. Now, 2 years ago, maybe. Now, not so much.
Yeah.
Well,
right, and that's what we were finding too. I was going on and I'm showing them this, like the data. Hey, people are not clicking on our listing. They're not even looking at the photos. They're looking at the price. Boom, they're gone. So that was the first thing I said is, hey, that's an indicator that we have to drop price a little bit.
Becky, setting realistic expectations up front.
Yeah, always. And the market does dictate the price, right? So what he's saying is if you're not getting these hits, so like it heeds you to listen to the advice of the professional that's listing your home.
That's why
Just
we're
because
here.
you have the highest offer, if it doesn't close, who cares? Or if the house doesn't appraise and the people don't have the money to bring up that difference, it doesn't matter who the highest is if the loan doesn't close. But the reality is that there are homes still going above asking. The reason why I'm bringing that up is I actually had a buyer lose out to one that went over 50 asking. We wrote a very strong offer, but that was the first home in probably the last 3-4 months that I've heard that's went such an exorbitant amount over the asking price, right? So you got to be prepared. You write those guarantees, and if the listing agent is smart, they're asking to for those verified funds.
Yep, that's exactly right too. And we're looking at who the lender is too, because that absolutely matters.
All right, hey, little music says we got to go to our first break here. We're going to be back at 248-539-9797. If you're buying or selling a house, keep it here. All righty, welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate and Business Show. We are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding, powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289, Equal Housing Lender. It is Sweet Lou Day down at the ballpark. That's right, there's empty seats down there. You got to check that. Those are not booze, those are Lou's. Yes.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
For sure, Harry. I don't
know,
even talk about real estate.
I know this
Harry.
is a sports show.
Let's just do it.
Here's the deal. You look at the second basemen that are in the Hall of Fame and compare his numbers and how long he played with the Tigers for one team, and it is very, very clear that he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm
going to say this here. There's only a couple things in my, again, being 56, being a Detroiter.
Trammell got poo-pooed on too, didn't he?
No, Trammell's in.
He made it, okay.
Yeah,
but he took him. It was a bit last time,
end up
right?
getting in. There's no question.
What is more automatic in sports in my life than the double play between Trammell and Whitaker? That ends it all, man. That thing was automatic.
19 years.
Oh, it's the best double play combo I think ever. You got to stop that nonsense,
Right,
folks. Get them in the hall. Anyways, get down to the ballpark tonight, this afternoon. Actually,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
today.
it's
5:30 starts. Ceremony starts at 5:30. I think the game's at 6:10, but 5:30 ceremony for Sweet Lou Whitaker.
And even though they're not really looking so good, I went down to the ballpark Thursday and had a great time. It's awesome to get down there. You know, there's a lot of things going on. People watching is definitely one of them. But again,
Yeah.
have a good time. Everyone's still in pretty good spirits.
Yeah, regardless of their horrible record, you can't.
Well,
I mean, you can't deny it. But
Listen,
it's,
if you're a
it's the-
sports fan, you've got to go
Baseball
down.
is
It's
nostalgia.
fun. You got to go. It's fun.
Yeah.
All right, this
Have
is
a
the
great
Hardcore
time.
Mortgage Show. Again, we will go back to mortgages and real estate. Nick Calty, Remerica joins us. Nick, you're a lot of fun to work with. You bring this young generation. I like the younger real estate agents. I say younger. You're under 30 still, aren't you? You're close to that. But, younger, you bring in some new blood. Always first-time home buyers. Not always, but first-time home buyers, maybe second-time home buyers. We have seen, what happened to that? It felt 21 and 20 felt so different. Of course, 21 just everybody didn't want to miss out. Becky calls it the old FOMO, fear of missing out.
Yep.
And then where did some of these buyers go? Becky, were they maybe, Nick, I'll throw it out to both of you guys, were they scared? They're not educated enough to really work and champion today's shifting market.
It was the over asking, the exorbitant amount of funds that we talked about in the first segment. I feel like that really, made people shy away because it wasn't the rates. They had the most buying power they've ever had in the history of ever. So it wasn't the payment like I preach. It's not the payment. It was the funds for closing. But what happened was those people got out. They signed other leases for another year, and they stepped right back in to higher purchase prices and higher payments now. So then it was like another shock. But the ones that stayed into it and picked the nose of the grindstone, they were reaping the benefits. And the same thing is going to happen right now, especially in the shifting market. It's going to be a seller's market for the next several years because there's still not going to be enough inventory for some time. However, it is creating opportunities for these buyers to get in, get concessions. You do not need 20%. There's a lot of down payment assistance programs. Even we are a pilot program for Freddie Mac, right? It's a conventional loan. You don't have to, there's some caveats to it that really open up opportunities for people to get some down payment assistance. And we actually are one of the, the pioneers of this program.
Yeah, there are plenty of first-time homebuyer programs right now, more than ever, more than the last
And those are going to
35
be
years
key.
that I've seen.
Those are going to be key.
And what you're seeing is a more stabilized market. It's more normalized, more stabilized right now. And I want to talk about interest rates for a second. People have to get over the fact there's never going to be 2.5 mortgage rates ever again. 2.5 30-year, 2.5 15-year. It's not going to happen anymore. There is nothing wrong with 5.5 and 5 3/4. As a matter of fact, that's really low historically.
Below average for the past few decades.
You got to take a look at that, right? So what you have is a stabilization in the market. You're seeing it in home prices. You're seeing it in the inventory levels are coming back a little bit. And what you're seeing it is in interest rates. And I jinxed it last week. Remember, I put it down and I said mortgage rates have stabilized. And, of course, the Fed raised the Fed funds rate another 3/4. Rates took a little bit of a hit, but not that bad. And they're calming down. So the market right now is a little bit calmer than what we anticipated. Now, what's going to happen fourth quarter and first quarter 2023? It's a little bit too far away to predict, but it's going to be stabilized, and that's what's going on.
Becky, you got to give your offer accepted, and then you could lock in ahead of time if you want to get your offer accepted and start moving forward. How about that little window, Becky, for all the mortgage professionals out there this week? We had a little window of maybe 24 hours where you could have gotten down in the low fives real easily without discount points. But Beck, we talk about interest rates daily, but the truth is families don't know what discount points are. They don't understand them. I'm not sure if many of the real estate agents exactly understand it. So that still becomes the question. We're always reverting back to the education because you can get still 5 1/4 today, Becky. You can get that all day long.
Yeah, so when we're talking about paying points and things like that, that is basically, so if you pay 1 point, it's 1% of your loan amount. So if your loan amount's $200,000, it's a $2,000 point to get maybe down 1/4%, right? So if you're at 5.5, maybe you can get yourself down to 5 1/4. But in those situations, depending on how long you're going to be in the home, that might make sense. And that's something that Harvey is really, really good about, having those conversations ahead of time to see if it makes sense.
Beck, I did the numbers, the easy math. The math don't lie, we always say. Yeah. Math don't lie. The easy math I did was this. I took a $200,000 loan. I just said if you paid one discount point, that's 1% of the loan amount, $2,000.
Yep.
It lowers your payment $32 a month. We'll just keep that on the $200,000 loan amount. It's 5.2 years to break even. Becky, families only keep their mortgage for 3 or 4 years. That's the average.
Yeah, that's why. Like, I also like it's crazy.
Throwing money.
It's nuts to me too because people are tripping out over. Oh my God, the rates are so high. But the reality is, people do refinance. It's very few that stay in the mortgage more than 5 years. When there's equity, you're trying to get cash out. You've exhausted your credit cards because you bought the house. Now you have paint, you have furniture, you have all these things, and now you're like, okay, well now I need to finish my basement. And you have the biggest asset of your life, which is your home. And, you know, a lot of times people refinance, shorten the term. So the reality is that you're in a temporary rate, right? You're looking for your forever home, not the forever loan. And that's where we're trying to get everyone to understand that don't hesitate and pay someone else's mortgage when you can still invest in yourself.
Yeah, there are going to be other expenses when you buy a home. So then you have to do the math, like Harvey said. You have to do the math, and it's really a division problem. You take the amount of time that you think you're going to be in the house and the amount of points that you're going to pay, you divide it, and you see how what your return is. In this case, Harvey did was a little over 5 years. Now, if it's worth it to you, then pay the money up front. If it's not, keep the cash. Keep your cash, right?
The money in your back pocket. If you kept that
keep
money,
your cash.
Harry, and you just put it, I don't know if you had an
You're
extra.
going to have other expenses in the house. You could have a roof. You could have a furnace. You could have windows. You could have a flood. Okay, this is Michigan. There's going to be water in the
You're gonna
basement
see water.
sooner or later.
Especially
It's
if those
gonna
people
happen.
that have, you know, made the mistake of waiving their private home inspections.
Right,
You know, you
don't
you
waive
don't
it.
know.
You don't
Yep.
do that.
You're
Never an
getting
advocate
crazy.
for that.
Nick, I'll throw it back on the listing side. Sellers out there have to know I'm staging, repairing, minor repairs, having a professional like you come in, talking about upgrading. Last week, of course, our guest on last week told the family, I know the family, said, hey, you need to paint this house. You got to replace this carpet. Like, come on now. Look at this carpet. There's a dog running around. You're selling a nice house. You got to have those things tidied up.
Yeah, you do. You have to really have that appeal because, again, everybody has every house on the market at their fingertips while they're scrolling through emails from their agent or Zillow. So the good thing is you have to have the ones that appeal. You want those people to say, hey, I have to go see that house. And then when you get there, you got to follow up because I can't tell you how many buyers I've had where like, hey, I'm sorry I made you come all the way out. The pictures made it look so much better. So you have to just make sure. I always tell my sellers, like, if we're going to list this and we're going to get the good photos, make sure that your house presents as close to the photos as possible.
That's key. I mean, even we've had, you know, our appraisers on here. Mike, you know, he's amazing when we have him on here. And he even spoke very eloquently and truthfully saying sometimes even if the house has fresh paint and nice flooring, you don't have to put in a $30,000 kitchen, right, to make it appraised nice because if it looks appealing, sometimes that's going to push that price point on the appraisal over.
Yeah, and that was part of those over-asking offers even last year and the year before is the stuff that was like move-in ready that people were like, man, I don't have to touch anything. Boom, I'll give you $40,000 over. Oh, then I'll give you $50,000. I'll give you, and that's what was happening too. So all the stuff that's like HGTV, that's it. That's what
just
sells.
some nice paint. New floors. I mean, you don't really have to come out of your pocket too much. But again, it's listening to what your agents have to say, taking in that feedback because you know when people go out to the house, do you guys offer feedback? So let's just say the buyer passed. Are you asking them, hey, why did you pass on that? Or do the agents, I guess, more so?
Yeah, and a lot of times it is like that. It's like, hey, these photos made it seem, you know, so much better than it was, and we got here and they're going, no way.
Not bragging. I want to keep this to myself. So a little bit. I talked to some people last week, and they were clickers or clicking some buttons and stuff, and they got me on the phone, good or bad. They're about to get a lot of passion, and I always say to the families or the individuals on the phone.
Are you seeing a lot of passion from you?
Oh yeah.
Anger, passion, whatever you want to call it. But I'm trying to get across a whole bunch of information in a short time, trying to build some confidence. And I always say to them, did your other call sound like this? And they always say no. Then I go, what did you guys talk about? They go, nothing. So, folks, again, listen to this. If this is friends, family, buying a house, Nick Calty, you and I talk about it. The conversations are totally different.
Well, it's not a click. This is not a click market. All right. This is an informational market. You need to be more educated in this market now. You can't just click a button, chat over there. You got to talk to somebody on the phone or go see them in person. You can't just do everything. Did my mic go off? By text and phone and everything like that. You can't. You got to do it by an actual conversation with a real human being because you need to spend more than 6 minutes on the phone with somebody to get the real numbers, Harvey.
Amen.
That's it.
And then Beck, let me throw this out at you. So we always talk about everyday lifestyle. So that's really where it all comes to. So, we used to have some different people say, well, your experience doesn't matter and this and oh yeah, it does because the conversations always get into what's your family goals. Again, if you're buying a house with 2 incomes, both of you are working, but your goals are to have a child in the next 2 years, again, that's got to play into your purchase and your plan, your overall plan.
I mean, you have people that are in the, I've been in the business for 50 years. Okay, well, you're out of touch, right? You also can have someone that's been in the business for 2 minutes and be out of touch, right? So the experience comes with, how you're engaging. Are you honing in on your craft? And that's where we have these conversations. You can talk with us. If texting, you want to text. If you want to email, we're going to email. If you want to sit and have a cross-like conversation with me, some coffee, we're going to do that too. But the point is that we are trying to set you up for right now and beyond to make sure that you're successful, to make sure that your payment, to make sure that the house and the funds and all the things are in line, because you want to be married to your spouse, not your house. And I'm a really big advocate on living under your means, but at the same time, sometimes there's dual income and only one person's on the loan. These are things that we know, and we're making sure that you can afford these payments, these homes, and making sure that you have somewhere where you can see your family grow.
It was scaring me about 10, 15 years ago when I started noticing some of the big box lenders out there advertising and dumbing down America. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And still the ads you hear today, are you kidding me? Come on, do people believe that stuff? You've got a retirement coming up if you're planning on living obviously a long life.
I'm not looking at mine right now, everyone.
Don't even look at it.
I'm not looking
your
at mine.
education, though, education for your children, your own education. Buy that house with a great school district, home improvements, maintenance, keeping that money in your pocket. There's lawn and snow. There's so many moving parts on a house. Becky, without having that, I just don't know how families are clicking the buttons. And again, folks, I'm going to throw it out there. If you got a mortgage at one of these places, I know it when you call me because you really don't know. You don't know the next step.
1,000%. And even I have, I'm going to be doing a refinance for someone. They bought the house, and now we have to do a refinance because there's a divorce situation and we have to remove somebody, okay? Sure. But their experience, the way that they are so upset about what this refinance might even, how it's going to start. And I said, whoa, hold on. Clearly you're buying whoever did your purchase, you had an experience. This is not going to be the same thing. Let's reset the baseline. Let's start over, because a refinance is not going to be complicated. And I'm sorry that your purchase was originally complicated, whoever you work with,
right.
But it's not going to be like that with us. And you can see it, and to that point, you can hear it when someone had a bad experience with somebody else. So let's just say you have a quote from another lender, whoever it is. For us to look at your credit, it's going to be minuscule how it's going to affect your credit, because in 45 days, you can look and shop up to 3 lenders. Sometimes I recommend that, because the first conversation, sometimes I'd rather be the second conversation and the last, right, than you be with the first conversation with somebody else, and it's just a horrible experience for you and for them and the whole 9 yards. So the biggest impact on your credit is always going to be missed payments and overexerting your credit limits.
Becky, I make that my job. I call and make it to see what they're going to say to me as a first-time home buyer, and it's bad. It's really bad out there, folks. Get educated. Hey, we got a lot more to share with you. Nick Calty joins us here from Remerica. He's got a lot to say. 248-539-9797. We'll be back. All righty, we've done some easy math for you here. We've done some hard math for you, too. Figuring out how to buy a house in today's shifting market. That's right. We're going to show you that champion it. I like that word. Champion today's shifting market in real estate. It's a
Champion
hardcore.
your life.
Champion your life. Hardcore mortgage real estate business show. Harvey Freed, Becky Alley. Harry has to go meet a client real quick, and I'll be going to the office, too. We're always available at Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW RATE, the best mortgage banker. You need that 30-year plus experience. Again, we've all been around a long time. It doesn't matter if you're working with $1 million client. We got plenty of those, or our first-time home buyers. To me, it's the same experience. In fact, quite honestly, I like working with first-time home buyers.
I love
Nick,
first-time home buyers, yeah.
Really,
you get to educate.
Oh, yeah. Nothing like educating them, Nick.
Yep, and I'm at the age right now, I'm 29, so I have a lot of friends, a lot of, they're developing families, they're buying their first homes, and the first thing I do, boom, I send them your way, and we talk, we educate, we get them ready so that they don't have a bad experience in buying, and the biggest asset they could buy into.
It's a great responsibility, in my opinion. Like when you're dealing with a first-time home buyer, I mean, that's going to be their gateway to whatever they're going to experience. And that's right before the break. I was talking to someone that's going to be doing a refinance with me. I didn't do their purchase, and they're immediately a little bit on the guarded side because of whatever their experience is, what it was. And to the education piece, the what that experience is going to be like for them, setting the proper expectations. It starts from the very first hello that you have with that client. And when you align yourself with someone like Nick and with Capital Mortgage Funding, you're getting that one time, that amazing experience, because it's important. It's a milestone moment. You're never going to forget your first house. You're never going to forget your seventh house, no matter how many times you buy. And it's important that it stays a consistent, amazing experience, both on the buying, selling, and lending side. It's a big deal.
Your Dave Ramsey's, your Susie Ormans, the big names out there. Your Becky Alley's, all the big names. I'll put you in there. Harry Glantz, others, not me. It's a time to buy. It's always supply and demand again. The appreciation that you have an opportunity for. It's a roof over your head. This is a little bit different. You're not buying a boat. You're not buying it's
a necessity.
A three-wheeler, one of those cool cars that you see driving around town. This is a necessity. I like that, Becky. Nick's listing was really, I think it's going to sell this weekend, Nick. And the thing that stood out the most about Nick's listing was the Utica schools. Just talk about locally here. Again, old school Becky, it used to be location, location, location. And then families go into, Nick, they get into the school district pretty quickly if you're going to be raising a family and how that's going to work out. Again, unless your budget allows you to go to private school. So that's a whole other thing. And then that might allow and play a different role in how you purchase a house.
Yeah, I mean, people are it's that season right now where people are going to be pushing to get into these homes before the school district.
That's right.
The last 2 years, again, we were talking about, it's been a crazy market because it used to be location, but then COVID happened and then it changed. Okay, well, now I can work remotely. I don't have to, where my job is no longer dictates where I'm going to live, but the school district for the children, that doesn't change. That might dictate where someone's going to select to buy, why they're able to move or work remotely. So that's key. So if you're trying to get that great education, people are going to be centralized around what the school districts are, and those price points do change, depending on where you're looking to live.
Let me throw the number out, 248-539-9797. Let me go to you, Nick, on this one. We talked a little bit about his representing sellers, and of course, we'll slide back into mortgages to wrap up today's show. But Nick, on the sell side, I mean, these families, they're probably going to be buying another house too. And again, there's a little bit more inventory out there. The numbers came in. I'll throw it out there. U.S. home prices may have steadied last month. July's data is starting to come in. The data is just starting to roll in. Did supply pick up just a little bit? Maybe some families are like, wait a minute, I got to get my house on the market.
Yeah, and the reason it looks like that is because houses are sitting a little bit longer because we had so many buyers drop out of the race. And, that's okay because, again, we're back to what, houses were sitting at in a normal market. And, again, it's such a good time for buyers and sellers, right? Sellers are still selling at high prices. They're capitalizing on some of the equity. Buyers are now in a less competitive market. They can, go into a move-in ready home that maybe has 1 or 2 offers, if any, rather than 10 offers. Some of my listings last year, I'm reaching out to my sellers later that night. Hey, we have 10 offers. Do we want to pull this off the market or not? And they're going, heck yeah. Let's just take a strong offer. We can head back to the house over the weekend. We don't have to, leave every time there's a showing. Now it's a little bit different, and that's okay. Now maybe you get 1 or 2 offers, but it just takes that one good offer to close, and maybe your home sits a week or 2 longer than recently. But There's nothing wrong with that.
See, I want to hear from some first-time home buyers. So if you're a first-time home buyer, give us a call, 248-539-9797. I want to know what is keeping you a little bit on the sidelines if you're currently renting. Because it all just starts with a conversation. And the reality is that there is over 45 million between 24 and 34 right now that are going to be entering the buyer's market, or they're in the buyer's market. But where are you hiding? What is your hesitation? So
Right.
I do want to hear from someone truthfully, because I know what people say to me, right? So I just want to know what, another perspective of what is making you hesitate to get into this market right now, because the rates are still good. You're a shifting or stabilizing market where you're not gonna have to be 20, 30,000 over asking. So I am curious to hear what people have to say about that.
It's their perception, Beck, and what they're hearing from who's their influences in their
negative.
life. There might be too much negativity out there. Again, we see all that nonsense on YouTube and stuff. A little bit crazier times. Again, a lot of stress out there for some Americans. Mental illness is jumping in on there. Again, this all has to do with your perception and then your knowledge. And then that confidence moving forward. I wonder if maybe we're in a little 6-month gap here, and all of that generational that you're talking about, that age group is getting ready to, get on their own. Rents are going through the roof.
They're reaching out, too. I have a lot of first-time homebuyers that are finally reaching out and thinking, hey, I think this is actually the time now, because they're seeing the price. It's all price right now, because that's the number they look at. The very first thing they look at, again, like with my listing, we were listed too high. I was finding out a lot of people weren't even clicking on my photos, weren't clicking on my listing. I had the conversation with the seller. If you want to attract these buyers right now that are a lot smarter and there's less of, we have to be at the right price.
I mean, I feel like there's not less buyers though, but they're out there. It's just a matter of what they're doing and what's hesitating. You're making them hesitate. But
right.
The reality is that when you're trying to get into this market, it's the education piece, like we preach, is key. And we want to make sure that when you're having those conversations and you're getting that landlord letter, you're understanding, look, you don't have to pay $2,000 a month to get into a home right now.
I hear all the time, rent went up, rent increased. Well, why aren't you putting that into your own equity, your own asset?
All right,
for
Becky,
a similar price or less.
Always see that every day. Becky, we got some great new programs. We offer every mortgage program out there. Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Constant emails over the last 2 months, Becky. We already know that we offer every mortgage program. We saw the new stated program. Again, if you're out there with good credit, self-employed people, we might have a stated program, a bank statement program for you. It's a form of a non-conforming deal, but again, different than the olden days. This is at least usually looking at a 15% down or more. And again, if you have that good credit piece, you might be able to get in today's housing market, especially if you're looking to sell. You might have bought a house years ago. You've outgrown that house, Becky. Some families have got into self-employed businesses. We offer every type of mortgage available for you, so it's a one-stop shop.
You have to be creative right now to make sure the financing is in line. And, these are not yesteryear's mortgages, right? These are well-qualified buyers that are out here in these homes. And the key piece right now, I think, is these down payment assistance programs between MIJDA, the conventional one that we have, but even self-employed buyers, or even if you're a server or a bartender, you can get into homes, right? It's all about how you're documenting your income. And if you're thinking about buying in a year, start the conversation right now, so that way we can step in, we can educate you, we can get you in contact with your accountant, your CPA, so that they can advise you on what you need to do on the tax side to put you in line on the mortgage side to buy a home.
Yeah, Beck, I like how you threw that out there, too, because, Roy, it doesn't matter what you're self-employed. More Americans are self-employed, believe it or not, than actually W-2 employees. With that being out there, there's some buyers out there. And by depositing all of your money into your bank accounts, into your business bank account, again, you're going to pay those bills anyways. Put the money in there. Showing that money gets deposited in there can be used maybe in the future, and we could set you up for success. So we always say, talk about home ownership. If it's going to be 12 months down the road, are you 6 months away? Somewhere in there, we can put a plan together for you ahead of time.
You can't start the conversation sooner, for sure.
All right, 248-539-9797. We've run the gamut on that stuff. Let's just go back to a little refinancing. Again, we're going to get some buyers and sellers to call us today. Let's go to refinancing back. Yeah, if you like paying 18 to 20% on your credit cards, well, keep doing that. But that's going to take away from the equity. That's going to take away from your original plan. So again, we always look at how much money you're working with here. Becky, families can do a cash out refinance on a mortgage, a first mortgage. That's 80%. We don't want to strip all your equity out, or then we tell people no, and then they go and want to go get a home equity loan. That can really jam you up.
Yeah, people want what they want. And there's a reason why there's caps and there's limits on how much cash you can pull out of your home for that reason, is because, again, we're not trying to repeat yesteryear's mistakes where you're overextended. And that was an issue. And equity lines, even some companies even retracted their equity lines because they were seeing this pattern that people are wanting to get into, where they bought the home, they exerted their credit cards. Now you can only pull 80%. Now they have a second. Then they want to call us and say, now, can you combine the two? And again, it all comes down to the equity, and you cannot borrow more than 80% of whatever your value is.
We saw in the past, there were some local credit unions that did. They went to subordinate a second mortgage.
Yep.
Families weren't able to. Don't go there. Again, you got to know the differences and how it could affect you in the future. 248-539-9797. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. We'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Give us a call at the office all week long. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Every day, any day. You can call our cell phones, too. If you go to our site, Capital Mortgage, you could go to the employee links. You could check it, well, not the employee, but it'll show our
staff.
Our whole staff. Good.
Yeah.
You can click us on. Our cell phones are there. And again, you can get some great service all weekend long. Sometimes we're just there to answer some really tough questions.
Like when I call you at 11 p.m.
I like those,
up.
Nick, and we appreciate those. Let's go to a call. We've got actually John calling in from Novi, thinking about selling your house. Hey, John, thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning to all of you. And I just had a question regarding, I was thinking of selling my house next spring in May, and I was wondering, because people buy houses fast, really, they go fast on the market, should I get a bridge loan and buy a house first, or should I have some type of clause that gives me 3 or 4 months to find a house after I sell it?
3 or 4 months might be a little bit too long. Let me jump in with my bid, and I'll hear from the panel here. But I like the idea that you would first sit down with, if you're going to be borrowing money, so you're going to have these proceeds from the sale of your house. Let's just suppose, John, that you go ahead and pick up a mortgage for the new house. So we want to really get you, as you're just about to list your house and get it on the marketplace, we want to quickly get you approved for a new mortgage, right, Becky? And now we can start sharing these numbers with you and give you a good idea how the transaction will work. Becky, we have clients that can buy a new house without selling their existing one. And then, John, like you, we might want to use the funds and the proceeds from the sale of the house to buy the new one.
Yeah, like there's different ways that we can be creative without you having to take out a separate a bridge loan, right? So people are buying and selling all the time. So we'll definitely give you a call. But the biggest thing is that we want to see if you're going to be contingent on the sale of your home. That's first and foremost. Do you have to sell in order to buy another house, right? And then we're going to get you hooked up with someone like Nick.
I don't have the money to just to buy outright. I mean, you don't think getting a bridge loan is a good idea?
Not necessary. It's not necessary.
Yeah,
It's
what
not a
we're
bad
saying
idea.
is we can qualify you to finance the house of the new home, right? But then you can also sell your house at the same time, so that way you close on your existing house, let's just say on a Monday, and then you close on your new house on a Wednesday, and the title company already has the funds there waiting for you, so that way you have your 20% or whatever you're going to put down. And I know Nick wants to chime in on this too.
Yeah, the other thing here, John, is that we can actually get you listed contingent upon you finding another home, so you don't have to feel rushed to find that next home, and you can go at your pace too. So we can put on there, hey, we're accepting offers, but if John here doesn't find his next home, then this transaction is not going to happen.
Yeah, John, I like that. That's really the path that most of our sellers did over the last truly 2 years.
It's a no pressure situation. I mean, you get to look for your next home at your pace.
John,
are they going fast? Do you think they'll be selling like the first day for above asking price, like they in this spring, coming up spring, or no?
So the market's definitely a little bit different than last year, and I know that's what we're all used to, but it's a little bit different. So like listings might sit a little bit longer, and maybe you get 1 or 2 offers and not 8, 9, 10 offers. But the thing is you only need that one good offer, right?
Right.
And that's what matters.
The market still is very much, shifted to the seller side. So to answer your question, yes, the likelihood you're going to get multiple offers is there.
Right.
And if it's priced right, you might also find yourself in a little bit of a bidding war. But we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, because again, that's going to come from where Nick looks at the house. You're listening to his advice, or there's some things that maybe a fresh coat of paint might attract maybe 10 more offers. It just depends on what your situation is to make sure we're getting that top dollar for your home.
John, John, we like your call today. I'm going to pick a few more questions here. Let me just ask you this, because I want to. Where are you going to go after you sell this house?
You're in a condo. I'm 72 years old.
Okay, you're looking not necessarily maybe downsize, but again, it's not really the dollar amount. You're done pushing the lawnmower.
Yeah.
I'm done pushing the lawnmower for myself.
Right.
All righty. Well, we do get a lot of that, and we're going to follow up with you and give you some more information.
Yeah, absolutely, John. I'd love to help you.
So you say that you can put a contingency that's based on me finding a house, and that doesn't turn people off?
No, not at all.
No, it won't turn people off. It's just going to make it a less pressure for you to find your next home. You don't have to feel like, hey, if I accept this offer, am I rushed to get out of here? It puts you in a lot better situation where you can find the right home.
Yeah, and there's other sellers just like you in that position.
Oh, yeah.
I have a client right now where it's 2 sellers selling their house, and both of them have contingent, and it worked out where, okay, you can find your house, I'm going to find my house, and it all worked out. So every situation is different, and the market is in your favor kind of in both ways, because buyers are anxious to get into these homes, but it's still a little bit of a seller's market where you can kind of dictate a little bit of the terms.
All right, John.
I just don't want to go into an apartment and do 2 moves.
No.
Yeah, we
have
wouldn't
to
want
do
you to do
that.
Listen,
that
we've
either.
never left anyone homeless, and we're not trying to have you move twice, and we don't want to have you to take out 2 different loans if you don't need to either.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
It's a really good call.
Thanks, John.
We appreciate that call for sure. 248-539-9797. I'll just throw this one last thing on there. So now you've got your house sold. You're not rushed, Nick. So that's you're not rushed to buy a new one.
Right.
You can take a deep breath, but you also know what you sold your house for. So now you have the math done.
Right.
Now
Yeah.
you know how much money you're working with. Because if John's going to max out and top dollar, and he's going to get, it sold with multiple bids and over asking, isn't the condo owner going to get the same thing on the one he's buying?
Right,
Yeah.
and really, I'd have to walk in and look at John's home and see, the updates he's done and how HGTV ready it is. But yeah, it just gives you the option that you can find your next home at your pace. There's no pressure. You don't feel like you're getting booted out of the place you've lived at for all these years. And it's a very, very good way to still attract those buyers, because once a buyer finds a home they like, it's an emotional game. They like your home. So, John, we'll get you listed. We'll find the buyer that wants your home, and then at your pace, we find you your next home.
That was a great call, okay, because the reason why I think it was a great call is because it's everything that we are talking about, but it kind of just brought it all together through someone else's perspective, because that is what sellers are thinking when they're trying to buy. Do I have to take out a second loan? No, you don't.
Nope.
Can I buy and sell at the same time? Yes, you can. Do you need to sell your house to buy the next house? Probably not payment-wise, but again, it came down to funds. he needs the funds for the closing, and these are all the things that we are talking about. And it was nice to kind of hear it from someone else's perspective, because it is what people were hearing, and it's good for our listeners to also hear that you're not alone,
Right.
and we're just have the conversation with us.
Every month I have a transaction just like that. We all do. If you're in
Yeah.
the industry, those are your daily transactions. And more importantly, so I have a client, he's going to close on this gorgeous new home that he wants, and he's going to sell his other one a couple months after. He can recast the loan. Right. He's in retirement age. He doesn't want to carry a $400,000-$500,000 mortgage. He's more comfortable at $200,000. After that sale takes place 2-3 months from now, he's might have already made one payment on the new house, maybe two. He can recast the mortgage. There's opportunities out there, folks. Again, you marry the house, you don't marry that mortgage,
loan, yes,
the
for
loan.
sure, yeah.
So I like that, Becky. That line always flies with us. All right,
Becky's
sneaking a
got the
call.
best lines.
248-539-9797. Again, always sort of these true, real reality of what goes on when you're
Yeah,
purchasing
and
or
if
selling
you
house.
don't know what you don't know, and if you don't ask, the answer is no. But I even have a client where a seller accepted their offer contingent on both. There's two separate buyers, them selling their home. They had two separate homes, are going to move in together, and the seller accepted their offer contingent on both buyers selling their separate homes. And we got it all done in a timely manner, and it didn't even affect the seller whatsoever, because if you put the proper expectations and the timelines in place, it's not going to be a hurry up and wait or I hate you for closing my loan syndrome. It's all about setting those proper expectations.
Nick, that house is definitely listed again. They're going to be buying a new one. You got a couple here. They're going to get together. They're selling two different properties. They've already sat down with lenders. They already know what all their numbers are.
That's right.
They're ready to go. They know what they need to net from the sale of their house. They also need this, Nick. You're willing to negotiate. Let's separate you from some other people. Nick, if you're working with them on the buy side, you're willing to do some negotiation, maybe help
Save
them
money, yep.
save a little money, maybe throw in that home warranty on the sell side, some different things.
Right, yeah, throwing a home warranty, we can move numbers here, we can take care of a few costs for you, because the biggest thing too is we see the numbers that you're paying and what you're what you're fronting in order to get into a home. We're willing to help you with a little bit of those costs too on both ends, whether you're a buyer or a seller. My team's here to help.
Yeah, and what you're saying is we do not take hostage money. You're not
Nope.
going to pay money just to have a conversation with us.
Nope.
And at the end of the day, we're here to help you and advise you. So Nick is willing, so everyone's situation is different. So if there's ways for us to, cut costs here and there,
Yeah.
we're going to do that, because it's important for you to feel confident and affordable in your home.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we've all bought a home. We know the costs that come with it too. And as professionals, we know where we can save you money here and there, and what we're willing to take on for you to make sure that you get a home, because that's the important part.
Yeah, everyone's situation is different. Go ahead, Aubrey.
I just was going to say, in today's hot market, the discussions are more about the motivations of families, the seller's motivation. Why is he selling? Where's he going? What are they trying to do? You get your hands on that as a buyer. That's pretty key stuff. So, again, your motivation, timing, location, there's so many different factors that play a part in today's
Well,
marketplace.
yeah, even like
It's
our
so
caller,
key.
right? He
Yeah.
wants to downsize. You have a seller, he's looking to get into a condo, and he probably was hesitating because he didn't know. He didn't know how to start the process, and it was just, thank God he gave us a call so that we can help him take that call, take those steps. Whether it makes sense for him or not, we're going to find out, because we're not here to push anyone, but at the same time, we want to make sure that he's in a better spot, and to downsize and make that profit and put that nest egg towards your next home. Do it.
That's
man.
right.
All right, his budget and expectations. We're going to find out all about him or anybody else out there. It's what we do daily. Again, give us a call here at the studio, 248-539-9797. Always at Capital, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Define some deal breakers. These are things that we can really pull out of you. How much work is going to be required in a house? There's just all these little intangibles. So there's a real difference when you're working with the true professionals. And I think the more and more I talk to families, and I'm always surprised that people don't know it. So I always say, well, who have you been working with so far? So again, there's a huge difference in that experience, that knowledge. That's what we're always sharing.
Yeah, for sure. And even with the buyers, right? I have a client where, they had a private inspection, but some things didn't come out, and they came out during the appraisal process, and come to find out that, the seller inherited mom's house and there was mold in there, and they didn't know, and it wasn't cited on the seller's disclosure because they didn't occupy the home. So they were exempt from, being liable for that. But come to find out, they did have a contract with ServPro. and there's mold remediation happening, but it was never properly disclosed. So now it's coming out in the laundry, right? And we're having to deal with it for the buyer because we're not about to have our buyer close on a home that could be a health and safety hazard for him going forward. So you got to make sure that, your real estate professionals are looking out for you. They're doing their due diligence on both sides of the transaction because we're not trying to have you close on a home that could be harmful to your health and your family.
Nick, we don't have too much time left here. If you got some final words on what you got going on.
Yeah, I would just say that it really is a good time for buyers and sellers. Again, buyers, you're in a less competitive market, which is good. You have very skilled, qualified buyers in this market, though, and we just want you to be a part of it. Sellers, you're still looking at high prices. I mean, now is truly, truly the best time to buy and sell. John's a good example. We're going to get him listed. We're going to get him into his condo, and smooth transaction. Capital Mortgage Funding will take care of his loan, and it's going to be smooth sailing.
That sounds good enough. We might be ready to go now. Why wait till next year? They're going to.
Yeah, John, I think you're ready to go right now.
Yeah, those condo buyers, Becky, always got to look out for the association, double check those bylaws, master deed, make sure you can bring your pets with you.
Yeah, you got to make sure, can you plant the tree that you want to plant, right? The association comes with a lot of little red tape that you got to make sure you're comfortable with it, even though you don't have to push your own lawnmower.
There you go. Fair enough. All right. Thank you again for listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. You can catch us all weekend and all week at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800, the best mortgage banker. All the folks around here get their mortgage from us. I don't know what some of those stupid ads are saying. 248-539-9797. Keep it here on 97.1.